Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Kat, and today's a big day. I know you're seeing this after the fact, but today is a big day here at Walt Disney World because the newest piece of vacation technology has been released, and it's now being used out in the wild around the Walt Disney World Resort. Of course, I'm talking about MagicBand Plus. So, since we talk so much about different Disney-related things, and since it's a beautiful day out, I thought we could hang out and chat a little bit about MagicBand Plus, and I could tell you why I'm a little conflicted when it comes to MagicBand Plus, because I am. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I want it, and I don't know if it's really an upgrade. So let's talk all about it, and of course we can continue our conversation in the comments as we often do. So let's start this whole conversation talking about what exactly MagicBand is, because of course MagicBand Plus is the upgrade. So MagicBand, in a nutshell, is a bracelet. It's a bracelet that is a tool you can use when visiting Walt Disney World. And I don't remember exactly when it was released off the top of my head, but it's been around for a while. There's a few different versions of MagicBand at this point, but it's essentially everything you could possibly need on your vacation in a bracelet that you can wear on your wrist, and you never have to take off. So when it was originally marketed, I know things have changed a little bit since then. The idea was you could put your MagicBand on before leaving home. You get on your flight, you arrive at the airport, boop, you can get on Magical Express, easy peasy. You get to your hotel, boop, your reservation information comes up really easy. You can set up limits to how much you can spend, because with one tap you can pay with your MagicBand around Walt Disney World. You can also use it as your park ticket, you can use it as your room key, and you can use it as your Fast Pass. So if you make Fast Pass or Fast Pass Plus at the time, just boop, touch your MagicBand and you can get through. No need to hold multiple forms of media, so you don't really need to bring a room key and a credit card and the paper Fast Passes with you. You don't need that. You don't even need your cell phone, really. All you have to do is boop, touch your MagicBand, all on one bracelet. And this was like awesome. Like, I was skeptical when I first heard about them, but I was like, I guess it's pretty convenient. And the most convenient thing about it was that you never had to take it off because it was waterproof. So you can wear it in the shower, you can wear it in the pool, which if you think about it is really cool, because let's say you want to go down to the pool, you're going to order something from the pool bar, like get some fries or something to snack on while you're swimming, or not while you're swimming, but you know, outside the pool while you're at the pool. Instead of having to bring your wallet or your room key and leaving it on a chair and hoping that no one messes with it, all you have to do is wear your MagicBand. You can go to the pool, you can swim, you can go to the pool bar, and you can tap and get food, and you can do everything that you would need to do without having to bring anything except for your MagicBand. And like I said, I wasn't sure how I felt about this when it first came out, but after using a MagicBand, I was like, wow, this is incredibly convenient. I can just tap it and go. This is great. I don't have to fumble with keys or fumble with park tickets. I don't have to fumble with anything. I don't even need to bring anything to the parks with me. I can just MagicBand. That's all I need. But things changed. In 2020, after everything happened, of course, MagicBand, one of the many changes is that MagicBand was no longer free. It was a discounted price, but it wasn't free. And so the conversation really started coming up of whether or not MagicBands were worth the money. And quite frankly, my opinion was absolutely they are worth the money. Even if you don't want to buy like a expensive MagicBand, you can get MagicBands for like $5 at the time. I think like the most basic MagicBands were $5. I don't know if that's still true. I would imagine that it is, but Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But I was like, yes. I really like MagicBands, and I think that they are worth spending the money on for a few different reasons. Number one, most of the same reasons that they were great to begin with. You can use them for basically everything. And one of the things I really like, especially as someone who travels solo, many of my trips leading up to moving here were just by myself. I loved having the MagicBand because I didn't have to worry about forgetting my room key or worry about, having to bring my wallet down to the pool or anything like that. I didn't have to worry about that because I would just keep my MagicBand on, and I would all day, even in the shower, if I was showering midday or something like that, because I didn't want to potentially take it off and then walk out of the room with no key, and now I'm like, okay, just me by myself, and then have to go through that process. I know it would be fine, but it would just be much easier if I didn't have to deal with that. I also liked not having to fumble with my annual pass. So again, your annual pass is what you can use as your room key. You can use it to get into the parks, but I don't want to have to go into my wallet and deal with things. I like to be able to just touch my MagicBand and I'm good. And especially as someone who usually has my hands full of something, whether it's a camera or a water bottle, it's nice to just be able to touch my MagicBand without having to free my hands. So I found that beneficial, and so I still do feel strongly that MagicBands are worth it, especially if you are traveling with a number of children, any more than 2 kids. I think make MagicBand a purchase that is worth the money. And here's why. And honestly, the more that I go to the parks, the longer I'm here, the more that I'm like, oh yeah, MagicBands are a must. Because the number of people that I see fumbling with their wallets and with the park tickets, which are essentially credit cards. It's the size of a credit card. It's a piece of plastic. The number of people that I see fumbling with these and the time it takes them to divvy out the cards to the different family members and make sure the right card was the right person and all that, it would be so much easier. And I see other families that do have MagicBands, and I'm like, it is so much easier, so much smoother if everyone just has their own MagicBand. And when you get up to the touch point, whether it is at the park entrance or whether it is at a virtual queue or a lightning lane, just having everyone have their own MagicBand, have everything they need right here, is such a smoother process. And there's much less stress for everyone involved. I'm talking about the family first and foremost. I'm talking about the cast members who then have to try and figure out whose ticket belongs to who so that they can do the fingerprint. And it's much better for the other guests who can sometimes be held up for a significant amount of time behind families who aren't prepared and have their tickets in a pile that they're trying to divvy up and figure out whose ticket belongs to who. Now, as a quick little note about that, because I'm sure that there's someone who might be like, well, so what, they take time or whatever. And I know there are people who will comment on that. I have a lot of thoughts on the way that being held up at the touch points at the parks, to get into the parks, can be resolved by Disney. And their process of handling problems, especially bigger problems, is garbage, in my opinion. I just ran into something yesterday, honestly. I just ran into something yesterday that frustrated me. And I had an encounter with a cast member that I honestly was like, seriously? Wow. At a touch point, when a situation occurred like this. I'm not going to talk about it here. We'll talk about it separately because yesterday was interesting. But my point being, things go much smoother when people have MagicBands. It's also worth noting that things go much smoother if you are divvying up these cards and passing them out and you know who they belong to ahead of time. There are a number of ways to do this. We'll talk about that some other time too. But if you're standing there at the touch points trying to figure out whose credit card sized piece of plastic belongs to who, and it can be complicated, and it's much easier just to have a MagicBand. I know it comes with additional cost, but it is easier. So anyway, those are some of the reasons that I think MagicBands are worth it. Now, are they perfect? No. Also, another thing about MagicBands, which I don't know if it makes it worth it, but it's definitely like part of the fun, is that they like talk to things. They talk to what am I trying to say? Like attraction cues, and they send out signals, and it's pretty cool because if you're in certain attractions, there are like posters that will say your name on them. Two that come to mind are Rock and Roller Coaster. As you're starting to walk into Rock and Roller Coaster, there are a bunch of like concert posters, and those concert posters, the names, those are people who are in the queue, like walking through that area, and that is thanks to MagicBand, which I think is so cool. Something similar happens over at Expedition Everest, and also on It's a Small World. That's another one too. So they happen all over the place, which is cool. MagicBands are also helpful for getting your photos, your ride photos. Signals are sent down through your MagicBand or whatever. Disney Magic takes place to make that happen, and it makes it easier. I will say that there is information, supposedly, that this can happen through your cell phone and your My Disney Experience app. I have never had any ride photos go through without having my MagicBand available. And MagicBands, they're hit or miss too. Ride photos are hit or miss, but again, that's a different conversation for another day. So MagicBands are pretty cool. I think they're great. But MagicBand Plus, I have questions. So of course, I know I could solve these questions. I could answer these questions by purchasing one, but I don't know that it's worth it. So first of all, my biggest thing that makes me wonder if MagicBand Plus is going to be worth it is the fact that it's chargeable. It's like an electronic device. Now, while MagicBands, I guess you could qualify them, you could consider them an electronic. They're not really an electronic any more than your like credit card with a touch point, like a RFID chip or whatever is electronic. So this raises a number of questions for me. One being, is it waterproof? Like, can I wear my MagicBand Plus in the pool, in the shower? If you can't, immediately for me, I'm like, why would I get MagicBand Plus? I don't like the idea that, you can't wear it to the water parks. I know not everyone goes to the water parks, but to the water parks, to the pool, the idea that you might not be able to wear it in that scenario, it takes one of the big features of MagicBand and eliminates it. Now again, I don't know whether or not it's waterproof. I have to go, we're gonna head to Disney later and we're gonna check out the packaging. We'll go from there, but anyway, so there's that. That eliminates a big thing for me. The other thing that I don't particularly like about MagicBand Plus, like I said, it has to be charged because it's an electronic device. I don't like that it has to be charged. That was one of the great things about MagicBand, is that it was just there. It was just a thing that you had. The idea that I have another device that I'd have to charge and I have to keep track of and I have to set up and pair and link, there are two reasons that I'm not crazy about that. So number one, that's a lot of work. And I know that there are people who are like, well, it's not, you hit a couple buttons. Yeah, but when you're comparing it to not having to do anything except, maybe linking your MagicBand to your account, if you do it manually, like a regular MagicBand, you type in a couple numbers and it links to your account. But like the idea that you have to pair to a device, and then that raises questions for me about the device itself. Like, is every device going to be capable of handling this? You know how some like older phones are like, not necessarily older phones, but like some phones aren't as capable of working well. They're not as compatible with some devices as other phones are. Like, what's the deal with that? Is that going to cause a problem for anyone? I don't know. But the other thing is, Disney's technology, while it pains me to say this, because Disney is always like felt so innovative to me, and in a number of ways they are. Like, I think that Disney is like, well, used to be. Past couple years I've had my doubts, but I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because of everything that's been happening recently. Disney is so ahead when it comes to certain technologies. But there are some basic things that Disney just seems to not be able to figure out. Their apps, they're not the best. And things like this, they're not great. They're not historically known as working really well most of the time. As I've said here, just today, but also in previous discussions we've had, like, I still can't get photos. Like, I still can't get ride photos. That's pretty cut and dry. Like, that's pretty simple. I mean, I know it's complicated. Like, don't get into like the IT discussion with me. I know it's complicated, but for a company that's charging you to send you the photos that you take through the airwaves, you should have that under control. And they don't. And that seems more and more apparent, like, with every passing day. Like I said, we've talked about that before, so I'm not going to get into it here. But I have a lot of questions about what is this going to mean when it comes to delays at the turnstiles. We already have so many delays at the turnstiles, and like I said, lousy. Disney's kind of lousy at handling these delays, or at least, okay, I don't want to sound like I'm like being overly critical, because I know some people are doing their absolute best, but the process isn't a very good one, in my opinion, when you have major delays. So what's going to happen now if we can't get people to link up their MagicBand Plus? As it is, speaking of MagicBand Plus and linking up and using things at the turnstiles, like the, what is it called? My Magic Mobile, Disney's Magic Mobile or whatever, where you should be able to use your phone as a ticket. I've never had success with that. I've tried. Can't get it to work. And I'm very capable of setting things up, and I've done everything I can. Can't get that to work. And I'm not alone. There are plenty of people who struggle with getting that to work. So I feel like this is just another thing that is likely to cause problems. And I don't know, again, this is me just talking. But we'll have to see in the next, couple weeks as MagicBand Plus rolls out and more people use MagicBand Plus. I would say though, and probably not the next couple weeks. So because you can order a MagicBand Plus through My Disney Experience for your upcoming trips, I think it's like 80 days out or something like that. I bet like in a month or two is when we're really going to see MagicBand Plus, if we see it at all, become something more people use. Currently, I want to say that we're going to see it from annual pass holders or people who are going to the parks regularly, people like me. But I feel like since we tend to know how to bob and weave a little bit better at the parks, we probably know like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, I have my other ticket ready, or I have my phone set up for this, and we're here all the time, so it can go a bit more smoothly. My concern is with the people who are visiting for the first time, or for people who are more casual or regular visitors, as opposed to people who are here regularly. You know what I mean? Like people who come once a year versus people who come once a week. But we'll have to see. I'll keep you posted on that. But all of this has me thinking, like, do I want a MagicBand Plus? Do I want to get myself one of these new MagicBands? On one hand, yes, I do. They have some really cute designs. I think they're cool. I think they're interesting. And for me, especially chatting with you guys, like there's part of me that's like, go spend the $30 and get yourself one of these MagicBands and test it and play with it and like beat it up and see what happens, you know? But on the other hand, I don't know that I would get a MagicBand Plus if I wasn't chatting with you guys about it, you know? Especially because like there seem to be some fun games that are available, which is great, but you need to use a different app. So it's the Play Disney Parks app, I believe. Again, I don't say this with any like definitive information, but what I've been seeing is that you need to have a different app in order to participate in that. So that's another thing on your phone. It's another thing running on your phone. It's more power being sucked down on your phone. Do you see where this is going? Like, so if you're coming here on vacation, you're doing all these things, you're getting this, and that's running. You know what I mean? Like the MagicBand Plus and the Play Disney app is running, and that's taking up power. And then you have to go into My Disney Experience to make your mobile orders and to make your lightning lanes and to all that stuff, and that's running. And then, you know, on top of that, you want to take some video or some pictures with your family, and that's running. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on your phone. So, like, how's that going to work? But, you know, again, we won't know until we try. But do I want to try? That's the question of the hour. And honestly, I'm leaving it to you guys. What do you think I should do? What would you do? Would you buy one of these? Would you use it? Would you like having another device that you have to charge at the end of the day? Like, I feel like that's another responsibility to keep track of at the end of the day, especially if you have kids. Like, that's another thing too, you know, like, are your kids going to be responsible and mindful of the fact that they have another device that needs to be charged? I mean, a family of 4 now, at the end of the day, assuming that all of them have devices of some sort. So now we have 4 things that we need to charge. Those are our MagicBands. And then you have 4 phones or 4 whatever else that needs to all be charged, or a power pack here, there, and everywhere. Like that, I feel like that's going to add up, right? Or am I just like thinking too much into this? I mean, I have a lot of devices that I charge. So I'm always wondering, like, do you want to be charging another one? Do you want to be carrying another charger? Do you want to be carrying another like power strip? You know. Well, let me know your thoughts. Put them in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you have to say. But for now, I think I'm going to go inside and pour myself another cup of coffee. Thanks for joining me. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you have to say, and I'll see you in the next one.